All right, what's up, guys? Is the Catman here, and I have some pretty bad news for you guys. I apparently am now unemployed, according to this guy. So, I've reached the point in Call of Duty where I'm now being accused of being unemployed, which I actually think is a achievement in itself. So, and look, guys, I mean, I've gotten a lot of comments saying, you need to get over yourself, your ego's out of control. Look, y'all, when I receive messages like this, people claiming that I'm unemployed because I'm that good, it really, I mean, it's pretty difficult to not think you're actually that good. And while we're on the topic of addressing haters, let's pull up the comment from this dude. Yeah, this fucking guy. I mean, so, yeah, first off, thank you, FPS Bloodlust, for commenting on my video. First off, it does help a lot with the YouTube algorithm and getting me pushed out to more people to see my beautiful videos being made. Second off, fuck you, because I'm going to do a better study this time, and I don't know what makes you think that I'm trailer park testing. I actually live in a nice, comfortable house, and there's nothing really wrong with trailer parks in the first place, to be honest. I would live in a trailer park if I needed to. I actually think that there's nothing wrong with living in a trailer park. It's a very cost-effective option. The only reason why I wouldn't live in a trailer park is because I'm here in the great state of Texas, and we're in Tornado Alley. I don't want to be swept up into the clouds living in a trailer park. But I will continue to test this game, yes. And, yeah, look, it's going to take a little bit of time, buddy. Alright, give me a fucking break, you know? I'm doing this on a part-time basis. This is not my full-time job. If you want me to collect all the data and run a proper analysis, give me a second to breathe, my friend. Anyways, so let's get into the actual variables and what I want to cover in this video today. So if you are familiar with the top table, you probably saw my first video testing skill-based damage, and I basically want to replicate the study, but change quite a few different things to essentially help account for some of the other variables that I didn't really factor into my first analysis. And I know I'm kind of blocking the gameplay here with these tables, so trust me, you're not going to be missing much. And actually, I want to address what happens about halfway through this game, take a little break from taking a look at the numbers and data for a second, and just kind of show you the state of the multiplayer in Black Ops 6 right now, because I actually hopped on today just to get this gameplay real quick. But let's get back to the tables now. Alright, so as I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to be using different control variables, and I'm going to try to mitigate as much as I can for the confounding variables. And I just now noticed I did a typo here, so please do not flame me. I don't have the best grammar. I don't have the best spelling. I never have. But definitely more of a numbers guy. I don't really want to go into a whole lot of detail about the control variables anyways, because if you want to have more information or learn more about that, you can go back to my previous video and I'll pretty much explain the reasoning behind it. I want to focus more on what I want to change about this next study. So first off, I want to change the base weapon, because the XM4 was extremely hard to actually, because it had a higher fire rate, it was pretty hard to actually track the amount of visual hit markers that I was getting on my screen. So I want to find something that's probably a little bit higher damage, lower fire rate. I was thinking maybe the Tonto, or, I mean, there's a ton of other guns that are a little bit more better suited for actual testing. And also, instead of testing both the eliminations and the assists per game with the amount of shots per kill, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to take all of the amount of hit markers that I had in that game and compare it to eliminations at the end of the game. So I think that this is a better way to test it for a number of reasons, and we'll kind of average out a lot of the, let's say, observational stuff, because I remember when I was watching back, and in my last video I very transparently. Like, once I saw the numbers and I went to go watch back the clips towards the second half of the video, I mean, I just knew I was being biased at that point. But it was so frustrating to see the numbers and actually correlate to my like lived experience. I was getting pretty upset. So what I'm going to do is actually just going to take the amount of hit markers and then put that over the amount of eliminations I have and pull a ratio from that. So yeah, that's going to be the new comparison metric that I will be using for the high and the low skill account. Also, I will this time form an actual proper study, form a hypothesis, and test it empirically. So that's what I will also be showing in the next little, like, a slide thing here that I have. But some other factors that I thought maybe could have influenced my last game was not all of my settings were the exact same. The display, the UI, the colors, things like that. So I'm literally going to go on default settings for both accounts. Just across the board, default settings, make the accounts have the exact same everything. One thing that is going to be a factor, and it's so hard to control for this because I don't have a device like a Cronus Sin, I'm going to miss shots, right? I am a human. I am not a fucking robot laser beam. So yes, there are going to be misses in my videos, right? And their movement's going to play a factor. I just don't know a way to control for that unless I can get my hands on Cronus Zen, which then, I mean, it would be a very controversial study if I were to do that. But yeah, also take a look here in the background. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. If you notice anything, or if you're paying attention to the gameplay at all, basically we're about, a little bit halfway through the game now, but everyone on the team has left. So I'm sitting here, I'm going to stand here on B and just kind of emote for the rest of this game. But this is basically what matchmaking is now. Whenever you get into a lobby that's actually pretty competitive, because I noticed from the beginning of this game, my latency was 25 milliseconds ping. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a sweaty lobby, because typically I'm around 5 milliseconds, so I could tell it was being more selective in the matchmaking. And yeah, everyone left except for one dude on their team, and I sat here on B emoting for probably a good 2 or 3 minutes. Anyways, back to the variables. So this next point is actually going to be pretty interesting. I was talking with my roommate who's an engineer, and basically we were having a talk about how we could make it more scientific in terms of actually tracking the visual hit markers on the screen. We're going to attempt to make a machine learning model to actually track the visual hit markers on the screen. I tried doing this myself today on ChatGPT. It kind of worked, so I'll show you some of the prompts that I used here in a second. So this is basically, saying that it can actually track the hit markers in the clip. It needs some, visual cues, some audio cues. Extracted all the frames, found potential hit markers, which, I mean, that's a pretty big number right there, 29,000. And so I kind of talked to it a little bit, helped it filter through some of the criteria. And this was basically the next thing that it said. It recognized what a headshot and a body shot could look like. But it was also having some issues with processing as well. So I actually told it to focus on a specific region of interest. And the results were actually kind of interesting here. So it was actually able to detect the red X's in the middle of the screen. Now, I didn't realize this at the time of making it, but now looking back, the red X's only show when you get a full elimination. So if we're going to be tracking all of the hit markers, we'd also need to account for the white hit markers and the red hit markers. But as you can see, it's still not super accurate. 188 red X hit markers. The clip was 17 seconds long, so there's no way I was getting 188 kills within that 17-second clip, but we're going to try our best to get this fine-tuned and see if we can use it to some capacity. So here is the testing methodology that I'm going to be using. The first stage is going to be collecting data, so I'm actually going to go through and play probably very I don't even want to play this game. Let's just say that. I'm not going to have a fun time playing the game, but I'm going to play the game in the name of science. So I am going to run 10 games on both accounts. I'm going to go through and hopefully we can find a way to do this through AI and machine learning, count the number of hit markers, compare that to the amount of eliminations that I get per game. And then basically I have two hypotheses here. So you have your null hypothesis. There's no difference in the average hit marker to elimination ratio between the two accounts. And then the alternate hypothesis is that there is a difference between the two accounts. The type of test that we will be running is a 2-sample t-test. So the two groups are independent, and they are going to be based on my I'm anticipating that they're going to be approximately normally distributed. That could be wrong, but I think that they would be. And the variances of the two groups are going to be roughly equal. I anticipate, based on my original findings, that they most likely will be. And if they're not, we could use, like a Welch's t-test if they differ significantly. And then what I'm going to do is perform the test. I'm going to publish the findings, and also I'm going to share all of the gameplays. Maybe I'll upload them all to YouTube, all 20 of them. So if people want to run their own tests or whatever they want to do, I will be doing that, as well as publishing probably a PDF, 1-pager type analysis with it too. And I wanted to throw in a little bonus here, because this guy commented on one of my videos. I actually checked out his video that he sent and commented, and look at this, guys. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I'm going to slow it down too, because seeing in real time is pretty bad, but then when you slow it down even a little bit more, you're just like, what just actually happened? So here we go with the slow-mo. Let's break it down. So this dude is, I don't know if he's taking damage or he's doing damage to this guy. You can see some blood splatter. He shoots in the back twice, 0 hit markers, right? He's on 20 ping, so in 0 packet loss. He finally gets a hit marker. It's kind of through the wall there, but, it was a pretty close one. And then he continues to spray, beams this guy in 3 shots, and yeah, that's basically the clip. Now we'll just watch the kill cam from this guy's perspective, sitting here beaming, right? I can't tell if he's taking damage from this guy or not. The other guy's shooting at him. But look, he runs up the stairs. It looks like he did take some damage there from the shot, and then beams him. So I don't know, guys. This was a pretty bad one. Just need to share it. So, as always, with pretty much every YouTube video on the internet, it comes a time for a call to action, right? So, my call to action today for you guys watching this video is not to subscribe, is not to like, it's not to favorite. I don't know what people usually ask for. It is very simple. If you have any experience with data analytics, with programming, with software engineering, with anything that could help me run this study more effectively, please, please, please either comment on the YouTube video below or join the Discord link, because I do have a Discord link now. I have a Discord set up. We are going to be discussing this as I'm going through the testing of this next video, which will probably take a bit of time to actually work on and put out. I do want people's input. I want to make sure that I'm doing it to the best of my ability. I'm going to try to not be biased in any way. I'm only looking at the numbers this time. I'm not going to be looking at gameplay. I'm not going to be slowing it down. I'm not going to have any sort of, let's say, biased opinion or like any kind of analysis beyond just the numbers this time. So if you have any experience in these areas, please reach out and we can collaborate. And that is basically it. See you guys.